Oh, I'm set up here outside of the one court. They're on a break. They're grooming the arena right now. So I thought I would pop on anyway, get set up. See if I can get this set up so you can see. There we go. And I'm sitting in my truck because it is pretty cold out. A little bit. Yeah, you can see they're grooming the arena. You can see the horses in the warm-up in the back there. And I have my mic on. And they should be getting back started here in a couple minutes. So I just thought I'd go on a few minutes early while they were doing the break. I'm sitting in my truck because it's cold outside and I was running the heater so I could warm up. Anyway, my name is Ginger. I'm in Northern California. I'm an adult amateur dressage rider. And this is me. Hi. So anyway, we're going to be watching Prix St. George. So I had some requests last time I did a live last week to kind of talk about the dressage and talk through the tests. So I've got two rides coming up in Prix St. George. One is an adult amateur rider and the other one is open. So an adult amateur is somebody that is a rider that's not being paid to train other people. Open class is for like trainers, coaches that are full-time professional riders. So that's the distinction between adult amateur and open. So I don't make any money. This is purely joy that I enjoy the sport. I enjoy my horses. I enjoy the training. It's challenging. It's a difficult sport because it's got a lot of different elements, and it takes about 5 years to train a horse for Grand Prix. So just some background and just some little bit of landscape on dressage. So like I said, I've got the adult amateur coming in a few minutes, and then we've got the open rider, the professional rider. And this is Prix St. George. Prix St. George is like the beginning of the international tests. So these are all considered international tests. It starts out with the Prix St. George. I'm kind of excluding the age classes because there are international classes that are for the age classes, like a 4-year-old, 5-year-old. There's tests for them. So I'm just talking specifically about the dressage test. So there's Prix St. George. It has tempi changes. It has, so it's the beginnings of more advanced work where they have tempi changes are they change the leg on so many strides. So in a Prix St. George, the first line of tempi changes would be a line of 4s. So when the horse changes lead, you start counting. You do one, how does you do the, it's 4 beats. So they change the lead and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you change to the other leg, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then generally when you do that, you do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you go 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, and then your last change is 5. So there's 5 changes within that line, changing the leg. And then the next line of changes will be 3s. So then they'll change the leg every 3. So it's 1, 2, 3, and then 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 5. So in this particular test, you have 5 lead changes with X number of strides in between. And then they have a walk pirouette, which is in the walk work. The horse is supposed to maintain the walk steps. So you have to do a very small turn. So the horse is walking straight, and then you turn the shoulders to go the opposite direction while maintaining the feet still going in the walk steps. They're shorter. You're shortening the steps they take, shortening the distance, I mean, but you're supposed to maintain that same rhythm. Everything in dressage is about rhythm, maintaining the rhythm. If there's an interruption in the rhythm, you lose a mark or a half a mark. Your score comes down. Each one of the movements in the test is a 10 out of a 10-point scale. So most of the riding, you're going to see scores anywhere from 5 to 8s, maybe 9s. I don't think we're seeing a lot of 9s very often, at least in this area. But your average scores are going to be 6 to 7.5, with an occasional 8. So that's what we're doing with the scoring, with the scale. And the movements start and end at certain letters. So you have to kind of break down each movement as it goes through the test. So like from here to here is one movement that gets scored. There's also a transition. So if you go between, like you finished your line of tempi changes, and then now you have a transition to, a collected canter, or something, whatever it is. There's a transition score, whether your transition was, rated 1 through 10, that sort of thing. At the FEI level, if you have a mistake in your tempi changes, where you're doing your changes every 4 strides or 3 strides, if you have a mistake in there, generally you're looking at a automatic 4. And some of these marks are doubled, so they have a coefficient is what they call it. So if you get a 4, now you have an 8. Whereas if you had a clean round of changes, there was no obvious, major errors, you could have a potential of 14. So 14 is a lot higher score than an 8. So, that's kind of the thing. But this is like the first real show for us here in Northern California at the beginning of the season. This is a January show. Most of our shows ended in October, beginning of November. So this is, people have been training in between the storms and, everything this winter. So this is kind of our first big show back. So there's no February show here at this site this year. So this particular show, which is usually small, like everybody showed up. And actually I was considering not coming, and then I'd reached out to somebody that he's here at the show that I'm actually stabled next to, and I had mentioned to her in Instagram, I said, well, my coach said, he recommended I didn't do this show. And she said, well, everybody's going. And I was like, I should probably go, because you need that time to get your qualifications. So this year we have the Adult Amateur Regional Championships here in June, which is I'm also trying to qualify for. And we also have the California Dressage Society Nationals here in September. So everybody's trying to get their qualifications in. So anyway, so the international tests start with the Prix St. George. So after the Prix St. George, there's the I-1, or the International 1, or intermediary, excuse me. Intermediary 1, I just call it I-1 because it's usually called I-1. But it's the intermediary, so that test doesn't have the walk pirouettes, and the tempi changes are 3s and 2s. So then you're starting to get more towards Grand Prix. After the intermediary 1, you have the intermediary 2. There's also an intermediary A and B. I'm not going to include those because those are slightly different tests. But so we'll go from the Prix St. George to the I-1 to the I-2. Now the I-2, your tempi changes are every 2, and then tempi changes, which is 1, 1, 1, 1. It's what you see in the Grand Prix. So it's kind of like a developing Grand Prix. Think about your I-2 as developing Grand Prix, because you also have your Piaffe and your Passage shows up for the first time in I-2. So I-2 gets you ready for Grand Prix. Grand Prix is the highest level of the sport. It's the most difficult level. It's because the movements come up so quickly and you have very little time to prepare. And every one of these movements, you have to prepare the movement before you actually do it. So the more preparation you have, the better the movement is going to be. And a lot of that is precipitated on your horse too. So like yesterday, my young horse, I brought him here specifically so that he could learn how to be at a stay-away show. This is his first real stay-away show. And he was pretty freaked out when we got here on Thursday. I had a MagnaWave treatment on him yesterday morning. He had gotten caught up in his hay. It's a web hay holder. he got his leg over the top of it and got hung up. And I had to get him out of that yesterday morning. And so he has no hay net in there now. He's just eating off the floor and making a big mess. But at least he's not going to get, you know, injured. He was fine. He wasn't injured, but mentally he was pretty freaked out. And then the horse next to him started standing up on his hind legs and looking over the top of the stall, and even put his foot up a couple times. And of course, my horse was already upset to begin with, so then, you know, that just made it even worse. So poor thing. But he was pretty spooky and pretty difficult to ride, very reactive. The first test was, which I expected, was really difficult for him. He really was not focused. He was not with me. He thought that there was goblins that were going to eat him every 5 seconds. He was very unsettled. I took him back out to the warm-up to prepare for the second test, and he started showing signs that he was starting to relax, but it wasn't, not like his normal self. But it was better than it was. So the second test was better until he spooked on the long side during the canter, and then I had to put my inside leg on to keep him on the rail, because he's had a tendency, because he's young, he's still learning, to go towards the center line, just get away from the rail. And at this stage in his training, I have to reinforce that he needs to stay on the rail, and he needs to be, you know, paying attention to my aids. So I put my inside leg on, and he kicked out, so I just laughed, because he's 4. You know, he won't be 5 until May. He's 4 years old. He's learning. This is a huge learning curve for him. You got all these horses around him. He was freaked out by the horse next to him. So he was upset about all the other horses around him. He was upset by the environment. The atmosphere gets quite big when you go to these shows. And there's a lot of horses here, a lot of people here. There's the equipment moving around, like somebody's got a telehandler behind me moving, you know, moving a stack of hay. You know, it's just a lot. You got the loudspeaker that's going off when they're announcing the riders and the test, and so it's a huge learning curve. And this is something that you can't reproduce at home. I mean, you can train your horse, you know, like he's trained to most of the first level and some of the second level movements at home. We're showing at training level because it needs to be easy for him, even though he has the talent to go higher level because he's doing it at home. He doesn't have the confidence out at the shows yet. And I know, like, people will watch Grand Prix, and they'll, you know, like the one odd show they see a year on TV or whatever, and you know, something will fall apart in the test with the horse and rider. That's horses. I mean, they would rather be in the pasture wrestling with their friends and eating grass. So you have to keep that in mind. They have been prepared and trained, but at the end of the day, they're still a horse, and they still have an opinion. And if they have a bad day, like my horse had a very bad day yesterday, it is what it is. It's okay. You just chuck it up. Okay, that was a training experience. We you know, got some learning out of that, and we just leave it behind us and go to the next show. And in our case, it's today. So we're not worrying about yesterday. We're just going to carry on what we normally do, because what will happen is sometimes you'll have a disaster in the ring because, you know, the horse was tense or spooking, or the conditions, you know, set him off, and he got very upset and he couldn't calm down. And then you start like hammering whatever it was he screwed up in, you know, in schooling. And then you make a problem where one probably didn't exist. So I try not to like overtrain something. I just try to make sure, are you clear? This is the lead that I'm asking for. Yes, you are. Okay. Are you clear? This is the lead I'm asking for. Yes, you are. Okay. Now we trot, now we walk, stretch, you know, and we don't make an issue out of it. So I try not to make a big deal out of mistakes, because that's how he learns. And that's how we all learn. I don't have any chapstick in here, do I? Yeah, I do. It's very dry. We haven't had rain in a while. We're supposed to have rain today, but it's quite dry. It looks like our ride has shown up. So let me turn the camera around. I'm putting chapstick on, sorry. right, so I'm going to turn your view around because it looks like our rider is in. Are you going to turn around? There we go. Okay, so the horse has come in and she's walking past the judge's stand. Down at the end, that's the judge. Off to the left, that little red table, if you can see that in the screen. All right, so she's going to come down here. I'm sitting in kind of an angle in the corner, which is not ideal, but you can see what it is. So this is the adult amateur. So this is somebody like me that rides, you know, when we can, a couple days a week. She may or may not have, here comes the horse. She may or may not have a trainer that rides the horse for her during the week. Okay, so she's entering at A, so she's starting her test already. So she's in a canter, 3-beat motion, and she's cantering. Let me see if I can zoom some of this. She's cantering to center line, which is where she just did her halt. Okay, and that was a pretty decent halt. So she'll get pretty good score. I gotta get this thing. Here we go. All right, so now she's trotting and she's going to track right. The short side is pretty much the only place where you can make adjustments if you need to. Now the tree's in the way, but she's doing a lengthening or a medium trot towards me because I'm in the corner. So she's coming towards me. It looks pretty straight. Don't know how much push there was because of the angle that I'm at. Okay, so now she's down the long side, so she's preparing now for her next movement. This one, I believe, is a shoulder in. Yeah, you can see the horse's head is tipped to the inside, like towards the center of the arena. So that's called a shoulder in. Now he's doing a 10, is it 10 or 8? It's a volte, I think. It might be 8. Anyway, volte is a small circle. Now she's doing a half pass, which the horse is looking in the direction that he's going. He's moving on a diagonal line, and his haunches are coming with him, kind of trailing. So now she's on the next short side. She's going to have another, oh, she pushed. So what happened there was she's pushing for the medium trot to get him to come up and push from behind, and he went to canter instead. So that's a mistake. So that'll probably take her down to like a 4 or maybe a 5. You know, again, mistakes are how we learn. Oops, sorry about that. So now she's there. You can see a better angle here. You can see the shoulder in, how the shoulder is off the side. Now she's coming up to the E, so she's going to do her volte. I think it's 8 meters. So there's her volte, which is a small circle, and there goes her half pass. You can see the horse's front end is going on the diagonal, and then the haunches are trailing along that diagonal, pushed off the line with her. Now she's going to do her walk work. So this is where she's now going to be coming over to do her walk pirouette. And like I was saying earlier, the walk pirouette is a small circle where the hind legs stay in the small circle and the front end rotates around. Okay, so she's going to do it there. Can't see what the circle looked like. Now she's going to do the other one because there's 2 there. You can see this one a little better. You can see the hind feet moving, and then she's going back the other direction. She's going to do the next movement because each of those movements has a score. The next movement is going to be coming towards me, and it's called an extended walk. So the horse is reaching down. He has contact with the bit, but he's fairly free, but you don't want him with his nose on the floor. And he's supposed to be marching, which he appears to be. And looks like a decent stretch. I can't see if the nose is out. It looks like he's curled a little bit, but that's pretty typical with a higher end horse. And the way his neck and his head are built, it looks like that would be natural for him. Okay, there was a canter transition. There was a slight hiccup there in the transition, so that would probably come down to about a 6, but it was decent otherwise. So now this is a half pass and canter. Same thing as what we saw in trot. She's on the diagonal. Now she has a lead change, and now you can see she's going back towards the other corner on the diagonal. Okay, another lead change. Boom. Okay. This time she's going to come on the angle and she's going to do a quarter pirouette. It's sort of like a turn on the haunches. See, she's collecting, collecting, collecting. And now she's going to get him to sit and go 1, 2, oh, he fell out, 3, 4. Okay, so that's going to be expensive. So he made a mistake. He didn't do the 4 to change, and then you're on the counter canter and then lead change. Oh, she didn't fix it. Never mind. Okay, so she's going to lose those 2 movements. Okay, so she's going to do it again on this side. She's probably going to kick him up a little bit more to get him to stay with her. 1, 2, 3, 4. There, she made it. He should be in counter canter because that's a secondary score. He is. It's the opposite leg and then change. So now he's on the correct leg. All right, so now she's going to be doing her tempi changes. So there's going to be 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those looked pretty clean. So now she's got her short side, and then she's going to do her, let's see, is this? Yeah, 3 time tempis. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 5. And they look pretty straight. That's the thing, is the horse can swing back and forth, so trying to keep them straight is very important. Okay, and then now she is going to set up for an extended canter. She's pushing, but she's not, she's not really going all for it. She's already had a couple of mistakes. And then there's your change before you come back to the track. And then this is going to be her finish. So now she's coming up to center line on canter, and then she's going to halt at X right there. And he was a little on the forehand, so that's why he stumbled. But overall, nice effort. There was some good highlights in there, and that's what, you get to see, you do the best you got on the day. So that was good. I think she did quite well with that. And next up, we have a professional rider. It's an open class, and she was trying to qualify for USDF National, I think, because it had a qualifying thing, so she needs a certain score in order to get the qualification. I think could be 62-ish, I think, somewhere in that range. She may or may not have gotten the qualification, but it was a pretty nice ride otherwise. She got all her tempi changes. That was good. And it's a little more forgiving, like if you make a mistake on a movement that's not double scored, that doesn't have a coefficient, then you have a better chance. It doesn't drop you as badly as if it has a coefficient. Okay, here comes the professional rider. I see her coming. Okay, so she's coming in. And I'm not giving their names. I'm just going through the tests with these 2 riders, just for educational purposes, because not everybody knows how dressage is scored and doesn't know what they're looking at. So I figured it would be, I was asked actually, oh, got a poo-poo. So he's doing a poo-poo outside. That's nice. I was asked to do a live and to kind of talk through the test, so that's why I'm doing it. And there's no reason to criticize anybody. Mistakes are mistakes, and there's nothing you can do about it. There has never been a 100% score in dressage. Never. So take that accordingly. It's an impossible concept to have perfection in this sport. You try to do as best as you can with each movement and maximize your scores as you can. I think she's going to be going in. Looks like she is. Yeah. So she's now entering. So now the test begins. So she's entered at A, and she's going to canter up to X. see if she prepares. Yeah, well, so that might have been 6 1/2, 7. So, and now she trots, and she's going to track right. So now she's preparing on the short side for the extended trot, which is coming towards me. So it's the horse is to extend its strides. The rhythm really needs to stay pretty close to the same as what your regular trot is, but the steps need to be longer. So that's the difference with some of these movements, is whether your strides are longer or shorter. So now she's doing the shoulder in on that off side. It's difficult to see that shoulder in from where I'm at. All right, there goes her volte. And there goes her half pass. So it's the trot half pass. You'll get a better angle at it when she does the next part. Track left. Now she's going to do her other medium trot or extended trot. You can see how the horse's steps are longer. So the steps are a bit longer in there. And then they shorten up when you go back to your collected trot. Now you'll be able to see the shoulder in. You see she just prepared, got the shoulder in. You can see there's about a 30-degree angle off of the rail. And then she's going to do her volte. And then her half pass. And you'll see the half pass. You see it's on a diagonal, and the front end is on the diagonal, and the haunches are following but off of the diagonal. Okay, now she goes to walk, and then she's going to do a walk pirouette. Okay, she should be preparing, shortening the steps. There comes the front end around. You can see the shorter steps in behind. Okay, now she's going to prepare for the second one. And then she's going to turn the shoulders around the hind leg. He took a step out, so those are going to be marked down. That's all the collected walk, and then she's going to be coming towards us in the extended walk. Okay, there he goes. It's a little slow to develop. He's looking around because there's a horse going by behind me. So those are all the things you can't see when you're watching a video. You can't necessarily see that there's distractions outside of what you're seeing if you're watching it on video or if you're watching it at a show. You may not see all these other distractions. So that was her canter transition. Looked pretty clean. So now she has a canter half pass. So again, like the trot half pass, she's coming on the diagonal, lead change, and then on the other diagonal to the other corner. You can see the haunches are off the line. They're on a different plane as the front end. There's another lead change. So now she's going to be doing her quarter pirouette. It's a quarter or a half. So prepare. She has the haunches in. 1, 2, 3, 4. It was more of a circle, so that'll get marked down to like a 6. There's your counter canter, which is the opposite leg. Lead change now onto the correct leg. And then she's coming for this other one. It looks like the tree is going to be kind of blocking us. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. They're pretty big. So it could be that this horse is just new to the level because those were pretty large. And there's your change. So they'll be marked down into the probably 6 range. All right, now here comes her tempies. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3, 4. 4, 2, 3, 4, 5. So she got her, they look pretty clean. Could be a little bit more forward, but she'll get, you know, a reasonable score for that. All right, now she's preparing for her line of 3 time tempies. 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 5. So she got those. They looked like they were pretty clean. I don't know what happened there. Did he change lane again? Yeah, I don't know if the lead change was early or what, but something was going on behind the tree. Okay, now she's got her medium canter. Let's see if she goes for it. No, conservative. Because a lot of times you'll see them just do like a big gallop there to get the maximum points, but it depends on if you have enough control on the other end to do that. And then here comes her finishing line to halt. It was on the forehand. So when they stumble like that in the front feet on the halt, it's because they've gotten down on the forehand a bit, and that's why they do that. So there you go. There are 2 tests, one from an adult amateur rider, part-time rider, you know, like don't get paid for what you're doing, and then one from a professional rider where they get paid to do the tests. All right, so I hope you enjoyed the talk through at the show. So when you're watching dressage, this is what it is there's movements, they're scored, they should be performed at a certain way, and then deviations from of what they're supposed to do from what you actually are able to produce will depend on your score. So anyway, so that's we're going to leave it there because I have a junior rider coming in now, and I'm not going to film a junior rider. This is I've actually watched this girl riding from training in first level a couple of years ago, and now she's riding an international test, so on a pony. So good for her. But all right, so I'm going to leave it there. That is our show live, and I will publish it if you didn't get a chance to join us, and you can watch it later. Thanks for following us.